What's up, YouTubers? Todd here, thanks for joining me again. Today I'm going to be covering Like I'm Gonna Lose You by Meghan Trainor. Stick around. Okay, so as usual, I do play in D, not E, so a whole step down from E. So if you want to play along, tune your guitar down a whole step. The reason I do that is because I've got such a low voice and it lowers my vocal range when I perform, okay? And I can still play the same notes as the songs were originally written in. So I do suggest tuning down just to play along, and if it's too low for you to sing, then you can tune back up to E or even put a capo on, whatever the case may be. All right, so Like I'm Gonna Lose You. Great song to play at weddings. So I play this in D, and it's very simple, but you know, there's a little bit of percussion as normal on guitar, which just sort of spices it up rather than just playing chords. Okay, so let's get into it. So just keep in mind, I'm not going to be calling too many notes or chords. I play more from sight than from chord theory, to be honest. I know a little bit about chord theory, but when you start getting into all these chords and 13ths and ninths and all that sort of stuff, I know what they sound like, but I generally won't be calling the exact chord out, okay? So you can see exactly what I'm doing here, so just follow along. The best way I found to learn, because learning exactly where the notes are, I think he's good on piano, but when it's a guitar, you know, I'm sure I'm not alone when a lot of my cues come from these dots here on the fretboard, you know. So I will just say this note, that note. You can see what I'm doing anyway. You don't need to know exactly what it is. If you can see it, you can do it. So here we go, the very start. Okay, very simple. So it's just a D that leads into the D. Very, very simple, slow, bluesy kind of rhythm. So really it's every 2 and 4 beats, very slow tempo this. Now with this one I normally, instead of hitting it, I'll normally just sort of rake it. So that's the rhythm. Starting in D. Found myself dreaming. So that's just a D sus. Make sure you hit that open D, because there's the root of the chord there. Right, so it goes from a D to an F sharp minor. So the way I play it, I used to play it like that when I sort of began, but now I sort of use my thumb a lot with playing those root notes in bar chords. Now, if you do see my fingers here, then it's not fungus. I've had psoriasis for years. It's actually psoriasis. So you see these fingers, don't think I'm a grubby bugger, because it is psoriasis. It's a horrible thing. So D, and then I just do a little walk up from the E, A, D string. Okay, so the D string up here becomes the root, the F sharp. So you could play it. So dreaming, silver and gold, scene from a movie. Okay, that would be cool if you've got a rhythm section, drummers and everything, but because we're doing this solo, we want to sort of add that rhythm section in there, a little couple of bass notes, bass lines, and you know, some slapping. It just really augments the sound. So D, So I'm just D, so this technically this is an F sharp minor 7, because I'm not playing this note here. It's because of my style there, but you don't really need to. But you can if you play it open like this. So you can do it that way as well. I do suggest getting into the habit of playing it with the thumb here, because it just helps you open up chords so much. But either way you play it, this is an F sharp minor. Whenever you see me doing these sort of chords here like this, they're actually the bar chords. It's just my abbreviation of them. So we've got to the F sharp minor, and then it goes to a B minor. And I just slide it down like that, okay? So we're up here on the F sharp minor, and then I'll just sort of, just brings a little bit to life. And we want to hit that B for the B minor, right? So there we go, 3 chords, D, F sharp minor and B minor. But it's the way you play it, okay? So try and keep that rhythm. Just all right. So when you're practicing, make sure you get it bit by bit. Don't try everything. If you're struggling with, you know, the whole thing, then just strip it back to the fundamentals. Okay, get those fundamentals and then build on it. So if you can't, if these things are confusing you, just go back to this. Because what happens then, if you go over it and over it and over it, it becomes subliminal in your mind. And essentially what that does is frees your mind up to start thinking about those other bits. But if you're still thinking about the rhythm, oh, what is it, 2, 4, 2, 4, you're always thinking about that, then there's no room left to do it. So get those under your fingers first. And once you do, then you add those little bits. You might be well advanced enough to do it. I'm sort of talking more towards the beginners here. Okay, so sus. So there's the first 3 chords, then it goes to a G. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of a rundown, okay, which is a cool little thing. Now essentially what this is probably something you're familiar with, which is this rundown from G down to the E minor. Okay, so we've got, okay, now there's several ways you can do that, and I'll show you a couple of different ways. You can do it like that if you want. That's not actually an F sharp minor, it's an F sharp with a D on the bottom, which is just as good. So, or, they both kind of sound the same. All right, but this is how I do it. I do it here from, I pick out the bar chord, the middle of that bar chord, okay? So I'm actually playing, so I'm playing these 3 notes here. This is my G. The reason I do that is because I'm droning on that sound. I'm droning on that sound. So, right. So I'm playing the G. Can you see that on the video? I don't know if that angle's right. That's a better angle, I think you can see. So that goes from the G to the F sharp part of it with this note droning, okay? And it goes to the A sus here. So 1, 2, 3. So for those 3 chords going down, I'm just hitting these 3 notes. These 3 notes for all of them except for when I get to the A, because I want to use that bass note on the end. So we've got the G, F sharp, A sus, which is kind of the bottom of sort of an A sus, and it's also a E minor 7th kind of thing, but because we're only playing this triad here, which I think sounds better than, there's too much movement in that. I like that droning. Leaves more room for the vocal too. Okay, so we've got found myself dreaming silver and gold, like scene from a movie that every broken heart knows. Walking on moonlight. So we're back to the start there. Okay, now that's pretty much it for all those verses. Okay. You can mix and change it up however you want, but I do find that way it does leave a lot for a deep vocal like mine instead of that note going, which is the same as my deep voice. So you could go, or you could go either way, as long as you get up to that F sharp. Okay, so that's the verses. Walking on the light, you pulled me close, but second and you disappeared and I was all alone. Woke up in tears, you by my side, breath of relief. I realized, no, we're not promised tomorrow. So that's exactly the same through all that. The melody of the song moves around so much, it sounds like it's being changed, but it's actually not. So, good, we got those verse bits out of the way. And then, so for the chorus, I'm gonna love you, like I'm gonna lose you. Exactly the same. I'm gonna hold you, like I'm saying good. So up to that point, it's exactly the same. All right? The only difference is instead of doing this little rundown, we're going to stay on this G note. So it's going to be with maybe a root note in there. So that'll be it. When it gets to there, I'm just going. So I'm just playing that G. So essentially it's this common. It's the G there, right? I play it like that, so don't get confused. Same thing. Okay, so in context, wherever we're standing, I won't take you for granted. You never know when we'll run out of time. Right? Run out of time. Love you. Pretty simple there, hitting that bass note. Okay, so the second part of that chorus, it's all exactly the same. Instead of going to that, we're going to come up here. We're going to play this G from, can you see that? This G from up here. So we're doing the same chords, but we're doing a little we're doing a little rundown. Okay, so we're going from the G. So we're going from G, F sharp, minus 7, E minus 7, and then this is an A7. Okay. Using that droning open A, so. All right, just a bit of a different style than going. All right, now we get into the second verse. So because I'm already at this position of the D, rather than going down here to start it again, I'm going to start it from the bar chord position. So as we do that rundown, okay, I started from there for that verse where John Legend starts singing, just to change it up a bit. So, in the blink of an eye. So that's all. Okay, so that's the D chord. In the blink of an eye. Okay, so there's just a little bit of a run there. And notice when I do this, I move my whole hand because I'm getting it ready. Sorry, because I'm getting it ready to move up to that F sharp minor position. So we've got D. Right? So here we go. In the blink of an eye, whisper small. Now for this I do a little rundown going, because we're going to the B minor. I could go to the B minor here if I wanted to, but I kind of like this little run that I did. And that brings me back down into the familiar position that we started the first bit, and then it just continues. In the blink of an eye, whisper small. So all I'm doing there is going. You could just go. You could play it here if you want, but I like that little run. That's actually out of key, but it's played so fast. You could technically, the right note would be, oh sorry, but I do it very quickly. And then we're back into what I showed you before. Now, when I'm actually singing this, I'll actually do, when the John Legend bit gets to the chorus, I'll actually whack on my harmony pedal. Okay, just because I pretty much sing it exactly the same. But if you put on a harmony to it, it's going to sound different than the first one. And so I'll whack on a harmony, switch there, makes it sound a bit different. And then when it gets to the chorus, correction, I don't do it on the verse, the harmony, but on the chorus. So after John Legend has finished singing his chorus, it kind of goes into a little instrumental sort of a thing, okay? And then back up to the top. I'm gonna love you. Okay, so after that little interlude bit, I back it right off, okay? I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. It's sort of the emotional part of it, real emotional part of it, where it goes really slow and then builds. So I don't do much strumming at all. It's just on the Okay, so over the vocals it goes, so I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you like I'm saying goodbye. Wherever we're standing. Okay, so on that G is when it was, and then it's almost like when the drums would be coming in. So, and that's when the vocals change a little bit. I'll go through it anyway. So, okay, so when we get to that G, that's when we build it up. So, I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. Back and right off. Gonna hold you like I'm saying goodbye. Wherever we're standing, I won't take you for granted, 'cause we'll never know when we'll run out of time. So I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. Yeah, I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. So that's how we finish it. So when we get up to this bit here, we'll slow the tempo down a little bit. Lose you. And just finish with a nice little chord. So there you go, like I'm gonna lose you. It's a very repetitive sort of a chord progression, but if you have more places to go as far as bar chords and little runs and things, you can sort of spice up every little bit to make it a little bit different from the last bit, because really it's the vocal that is the star of the show in this song. But if you've got a little bit of percussion, you know, a couple of little runs you can do, it just makes all the difference in flavouring out, fleshing out the song itself. And it's very easy to do. So try not to just play the chords all the time. I see so many people just, you know, it just, to me, it's boring. It's boring. You want to play something that's going to put a few holes in there so the vocal can kind of shine, you know. You don't want to hear the guitar strumming through the whole thing. So if you can do a little bit of picking, you know, staccato it, you know, we're stopping it. There's lots of places to breathe in there rather than just sort of playing. I'm gonna love you like I'm gonna lose you. I'm gonna hold you. You know, it just gets really boring. So little stops and starts can really flesh it out rhythmically. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you will. I'm going to be doing quite a few tutorials on this channel. I'm just sort of getting off the ground here, so you know, even a comment helps. So I do appreciate it. Keep watching for future videos. I'll upload at least once a week, possibly 2 times a week, different stuff. And check out my other content. I hope you enjoyed it and keep practicing.